First up, joining us on stage is Senior Vice President of Streaming and Technology for HBO and HBO Max, Steve Beres. Please welcome Steve. Hello, mate. Came from the other side. Nice to see you. Next, Vice President, YouTube Marketing, Brand, Creative, Culture and Media, Angela Courtin. Hello, Angela. Thanks. Kind of a big deal. Thanks for joining us. Okay, founder and CEO of Moving Image and Content, Quynh May. Hi, Quynh. And last but not least, Chief Commercial Officer, new to the role of Jaguar Land Rover, Lennard Hoornik. Thank you, Lennard. Hello, mate. Nice to see you. All right, fantastic. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you had your mandatory tequila in the intermission to loosen up that brain plaque. This is a technology panel, so we're going to have to clear the air and get the buzzwords just out of the system, out into the open. So we're going to start with a round of hot or not. So if you could please pick up your paddles. I'm going to throw out some tech buzzwords, and you tell me what you think of them. You can all play along as well. You can do a sort of a Caesar-esque thumbs up, thumbs down if you so choose. You're welcome to. All right, let's dive into it. Ethereum. Bitcoin. You got to pick, Steve. Okay, yeah, feel firm. All right. Virtual reality.
Not.
Strong opinion, Quynh.
That was verbal and digital.
Yeah, that didn't feel virtual. Augmented reality.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yep.
Undecided.
My daughter still plays Pokemon Go, so I'm going.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay. Perhaps more real-world applications, arguably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mostly Pokemon Go, though. I think if we don't get past that, that's all right.
NFTs?
Oh, yeah. Huge.
Really? Across the board?
I've sold an NFT of this panel, actually, just on the way out.
How much did you get?
Yeah, like $4,500.
Really depends on how you do, actually.
How are you splitting it?
Well,
he meant $4.50.
yeah, it was
Come back to it.
Yeah. It was in Dogecoin, so no.
It's already gone down. Yeah. Metaverse?
Smoking.
Really?
Yes.
Really
Going around
bullish
Yes.
from you.
Going around the other way. I'm taking a contrarian stance.
I agree.
Why so bullish? Why?
Why am I bullish?
Yeah,
Have you met Gen Z?
Right.
Have
We'll
you
get into
done
that.
Travis Scott in Fortnite or Metaverse with Roblox?
Good point. Good point. Yeah, the audiences are certainly there. Social shopping.
No, I think so.
Quynh, why no? Why the contrarian?
It works in China, but not in America yet.
Really?
No. And every
TikTok are seeing some positive results, are they not?
TikTok sales reps are pushing it.
There we go. There we go, the reality. Let's do one more for the win. Autonomous driving.
Oh.
The purist says no.
No. I don't buy a car to have the car drive for me. I buy the car to drive the car. But I'm very old, and I drove very old cars. So, yeah.
A clap from an enthusiast over here. Thank you for that.
Right.
They still, they still
like this
believe.
guy. So that, yeah, fine.
They still believe. Lennard, you must be excited about that, though.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Big part of your world coming up.
Yeah, it changes a lot.
It certainly does. I imagine the entire way you think about the car. Okay, you can put your paddles down. Thank you all. A round of applause for our hot or nots. All right, we all cleared the air now. We've got the tech comments out of the way. Let's talk about digital culture and what that really means. Guys, what's going on in digital culture? Who's shaping it? Who's controlling it? What's the state of the union?
Gen Z.
I was going to say shaped by the consumer, Gen Z.
Right.
Is driving a lot of that right now.
Yeah.
Define Gen Z for us. Quynh, just quickly, what are we looking at here? What's the...
I think the youngest age is about 11 and 23, 24.
Yeah, those born after 9/11, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
After 9/11,
Yeah.
right. But they're not out there buying cars and white goods, and are they driving the economy, or
Well, I think that
why should we care if they're shaping something if they ain't buying?
youth culture always shapes society and shapes pop culture. So even if you're not marketing to them, and if they can't buy your car yet, they're shaping everything around your product. And Gen Z's parents, which are Gen X, are very close to their kids. So they're shaping every decision their parents make because their parents don't want to be cool.
That's true. I think that's true, Otto. Yeah.
I certainly feel that way.
In that category. Yeah.
I don't. It's definitely cooler than I am.
Yeah, that's it.
So how do we deal with that? Because they're not playing by the rules, or at least the established rules, right? I mean, what differences do you see in the way that perhaps they're consuming media or advertising, Angela?
I think they eschew traditional advertising, so they're not watching a lot of live television. They're, on social media. They're in digital campfires. They're hearing from their peer groups, and influencers are driving a lot of their their purchase decisions. So, we spend a lot of time. I'm at YouTube. We spend a lot of time thinking about that in terms of where do we meet them. They love experiences, and so COVID really was crippling to this generation in that they had to go inward, and so they created virtual experiences. They created really back to the chat room in a big way, but they really crave IRL. And so I think we're going to see a lot more advertisers, partners get back into that space. And how can you show up in an authentic way? I mean, you do this. This is an IRL experience for your audience, and that's exactly what you were looking for, something tangible, something personal.
So digital culture requires that real-life ingredient, you believe?
I think it does. I think it's the combination. I think it's the ability to, use social media to curate that experience, to use social media to advance social causes, to use social media and digital media to really go deep on the things you love. There's the ephemeral, like I want fun and I want to know what that culture is, and there's I want to really go deep on something. I want to learn about a different perspective.
So that's right. Okay. Now, how is this developing? Lennard, I know this swirl of technological change and digital culture that's for you. So your background, I know you're new to JLR, but previously Dyson, Sony, and so on. What are some of the challenges, digital challenges, broadly, that you've had to lead through in
I think
this time?
just building on the point, I think Generation Z, the very early ones, are now starting to work. And I think they're going to shape the work culture very differently as well. The great thing is that if you work for a slightly more traditional company, I really realized the one major difference when we did, for example, we now do digital stand-ups every day. We look at what can we improve today, what we, and then check it again tomorrow. And when we introduced that in JLR, for example, in the beginning, it was really difficult because the people only wanted to show what they've done well. They didn't want to show, what the whole principle is of digital and continuous improvement. What can you do change for tomorrow? And we had the same challenge in my previous company, and therefore we decided that whole web optimization should all be run by graduates. We would not allow any experienced people near it. And therefore you get a much more quicker, faster way of operating and much faster way of learning. But you need to really keep in mind, of course, that it's Generation Z that comes in. And you need to really give them purpose at the same time as optimization. And I think that was a real big learning for us.
Right. And Quynh, you said something really interesting in the green room. You said to me, it only took a global pandemic for people to believe in digital. So we have this upswelling generation, and then a broader acceptance in larger society.
I mean, I'm lucky enough as a digital marketer to work with big global brands. And they've all said, we want to be innovative, we want to be disruptive, but they actually don't want to do that. They say it, but it's very, very hard to move away from inertia. And it's very hard to greenlight something you don't understand. So when you're in a room with, senior executives of a company, and you're talking about TikTok or Discord, they won't put their money there, they won't invest there because they don't understand it. And what happens is they're surrounded, they are so senior level that they can't say in a meeting, what's TikTok? so they can't even ask anyone. So they actually end up asking their kids. I mean, I have had so many presentations with, giant companies, and I will say to them, don't answer, don't tell me what you like, go home and ask your kids, and then let's have this discussion tomorrow. And
So you let them take a break.
I let them take a break and then say, go home, talk to your children, who we're marketing to, because we're marketing to the psychology of youth, not to Gen Z, right? You're not targeting a 23-year-old, but you're targeting pop culture, which is that 23-year-old mindset. Yeah. So you have to think about it in that way, and you have to think about how to include everyone in the conversation, which is so much harder today than before. Because before you could make something beautiful, put it out, put some media dollars behind it, and then people would consume it, and things would go viral. Remember all those viral videos on YouTube? When was the last viral video? I mean, how do you do that? It's all these, what Angela's saying, all these micro communities that build this mini viral moments every single day. And it's how do you keep up? How do you keep up?
Angela, you've got you've got a massive portfolio at YouTube of responsibilities. I'm sure you've got a panoply of agencies reporting to you, Gen Z specialists, I'm sure. What are you hearing? What are they telling you?
That I should retire.
Charming.
Yeah.
Very, actually.
And you pay them for it?
And I pay them for it. It's a true story, actually. They don't, I think exactly, I'm not sure much has changed. I think the vocabulary we use and the speed at which it's happening is changing. Because, I was at MTV in the heyday, and we were still trying, I was youth, and we were talking to, my generation. It was about put people in a house and see what happens, and that was like breakthrough. And now what we're doing is we're just actually, as marketers, watching what people are doing in this house called social media, this house called digital media, and observing their patterns and observing, literally what are they doing and how quickly are they finding it. To the point that Quynh made, it's like these small micro communities, when you're talking about 2 billion people or 4 billion people on a monthly usage basis, that's a ton of people. And so it's finding those tribes. It's like, we just met, but his knowledge and passion for Land Rover, it's like there are a lot of people out there that he finds on YouTube that share that passion.
I don't know that there's a lot of people like me, but
yeah, but there are enough of you that you feel that there's a community out there. And so as a marketer, all I'm doing is trying to find, when I segment my audience, where are they? What do they like? And not just that they like my brand, but what do they like that I can connect with them on that is authentic to my brand experience?
So that's fascinating. That leads me to kind of the immediacy of digital, which is daunting, right? As we've all talked about, there's faster cycles, you've got such turmoil. And you talk about watching and mining and looking for those trends that are emergent. At HBO, how long does it take to make a show?
Well, I mean, it can be anywhere from a decade to 3 years, 3 years minimum. So a lot.
Lennard,
yeah.
How long for a car?
Similarly.
Yeah?
5 to 10 years. Yeah.
5 to 10 years. 10-year bet.
Yeah.
So where do we land between trying to shape culture? Here's the new, it has a look, it's car. Versus mining and then responding. How do we work that balancing act in this digital culture that we're living in?
Well, I think for us, we do what we have always done, which is find new, original voices and give them a platform.
So you make a bet on that apex, on that tip of that?
And we have to. We have to find something that, in our case, no one has seen before, no one has heard before.
I think about Insecure.
That's right.
That show, I believe, would you agree, sort of captured a moment of feeling, but that presumably was in production for years
Absolutely.
before.
Well, and Issa had a following online, and that's something that was an indicator of potential success, but not necessarily a guarantee. And so a lot of it is understanding the potential that is in a creative that can they take something that is a successful some other type of media and transition it into our type of story-based, narrative, voice-driven, single voice-driven entertainment? And we often do have to take a 3-year, maybe in some cases something we may read 10 years ago has become a show today. Something that is a novelization or a novel that someone has written that 2 individuals who've never made a television show before will come and pitch and say, we've got this idea, we think it could work, you guys made The Sopranos, how do you feel about dragons? Sure. And so the idea of saying, I don't know, the idea of saying, okay, we're going to invest a huge amount of capital, a huge amount of effort, and time in our schedule, which is also a huge commodity that we have to manage very finitely, because there's only so much bandwidth in someone's day, in someone's life, to take in a show, to invest in. It's like a relationship. Yeah. We're asking people to make a major investment, and so we have to be very calculated about that, and that comes from the experience of the team that has done it for decades, a combined experience of literally hundreds of years in creative curation inside of HBO, able to take a look at something like an Insecure, like an Issa Rae, and say, this is something that could work, like a Lena Dunham, and say, this could become a Girls, like a David and Dan, and this could become a culturally significant, sort of Game of Thrones. And then, how do we take that and follow up, and follow up, and follow up, and follow up, time and time and time again, Well,
look, I think that your question, why do we have to pick one or the other, right?
Okay.
We actually have to be both, and I think everyone in this room, if you post on social media, you're a creator, believe it or not. And I think you have to decide, do you want to participate or originate? So you see something fun online, you see something that's happening, and you say, I want to be a part of that dance party. I want to get on the dance floor. So you go and you participate. You're having a great time. You're doing a hashtag challenge or whatever. And the other part is originate. And today it's, do you have a really great novel idea? Mm-hmm. Do you have something that you think you haven't seen before, which is really, really hard. And my friend Margot reminded me of that quote, Ted Turner, lead, follow, or get out of the way. So do one or the other, or
You
just...
also said,
just
how do you spell fun? W-I-N.
Yeah,
Which I like.
The complicated man.
Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. I can't imagine that you would like to be pegged as a reactive organization that is simply observing and then doubling down on something that your creative field bubbles up. Aja, where do you land on this continuum versus shaping versus
Well, I think that
deciding?
we put too much emphasis on being original. I think Andy Warhol showed us that you don't have to be original to be creative. And I think you can do both. You can shift from being an originator, which I think Land Rover did today, doing something totally different from anything else on the auto show. And then also participating, which is being a part of pop culture, being a part of youth culture, and participating into that. And I think a lot of people forget that. A lot of business owners say, I don't sell to Gen Z, so I can just wait it out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most dangerous thing, because I saw a lot of companies fail when they said, I don't sell to millennials. I'm just going to wait it out.
Yeah. Where do you land on this, Angela? Because you've got a
Issa
massive
Rae is a great
community.
example. Issa Rae had a YouTube channel, and that's where HBO discovered her. And I think that what I would say is, for YouTube, it's just, to your point, anyone can get on. I am so grateful for the people who make Airstream videos, or how to fix your dishwasher, or how to sew a costume for your daughter, because those creators make me a smarter parent, partner, handy person. And I think that's what I love about the democratization of content creation, is that anyone who has an idea or just a desire to voice what is they're doing or thinking, that changes culture. And when enough people find that and discover it, it really revolutionizes and catalyzes the ability to create beyond just that what was a 6-second video turned into a 3-minute video, and the average time of a video on YouTube is over 10 minutes. It's actually somewhere around 14.
Yeah.
And if I can, for just a quick moment, that the most wonderful thing about YouTube is this, insurgence of makers into our everyday thinking. I think that United States, North America, I'm Canadian, so both, well, I'm both, we've sort of, went through a period of our history where we took the craftsperson for granted, we took the maker for granted, we took the tradesperson for granted, and the fact that the maker movement, largely reinforced by YouTube, Instagram, things like that, and sort of destigmatizing the idea of making things at a very high finish, at a very high level of quality, is something to strive to do, and not something to say, well, that's a lesser than. You should be a this or that or this. People, we don't making things is a lesser than approach, when in fact an incredible craftsperson is something truly incredible, and YouTube does such a great job of celebrating that. I think that's really, and it's something that hopefully reinvigorates the country as a community of makers. That's what built this country, and hopefully we sort of take hold of that again and drive forward.
So, Lennard, you're a maker, industrial design. Where do you, to what extent are you tapping a community
I think
versus, closing the doors and making some decisions about where it's going?
Yeah, and I think, there's always a risk that you want to make technology for everyone and you make it for no one.
Yeah, you end up with the faster horse.
And that happens a lot. I think the key thing in the digital culture is that there is a level of fearlessness. And you got to really stand for something. If you stand for something and you can make your voice heard, and it's a clear opinion, and you have that into your long-term strategy, which can be explained in a simple manner, and then you got people really executing that, young people executing that, you can do amazing things, and you can create a digital culture fast. And one really simple example, is my team knows it very well. That's sitting here, some of them, is I do every day with the team a review on the numbers. Every single morning, we go through and say, okay, who was on, the website yesterday, or what is this digital program doing? Where did the traffic come from? What did the configuration did they do? How did they get out of it? And I think if you really start to understand that, the beautiful thing about the digital culture is automatically then you will get a customer centricness. And right. That is the magic that I want to achieve. Yeah. Because car companies, when you do 10-year programs, you can very quickly sunk into the technology. And I think the digital culture, if you overlay that on top, you can have the beauty of both worlds. And, the digital will drive the customer centricness because you see the behavior every minute, every second of the day. And if you want to know something, the answer is most often is already there.
Well said, sir. What a great point to finish. We say a lot, we could talk long. We really could talk a lot longer. Thank you all so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Wise words.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.